Research ethics is the foundation for all research. We have to function in an ethical manner in our profession as well as when we complete research and projects. So when we're looking at ethics, it really embodies adhering to the rights of people and treating folks with respect. That's the underlying factor. And when you did your city training, you went into some of the history, why we are where we are as far as the guidelines and the requirements for IRBs, and really general principles as far as conducting research is all about respect and treat individuals as autonomous individuals and protect individuals with limited ability to make decisions for themselves. So that's where we get into some of the factors with vulnerable populations. Also, we must look at beneficence and non-maleficence as far as doing good and doing no harm. And in addition, we need to use those concepts of ethics such as justice. So making sure that we're fair in what we do and don't impose burden upon those folks that we are working with. So as you've learned that city training is a part of how we adhere to the requirements for training. And during that basic training, you know that you've gone through the history, ethical research conduct, you've looked at compliance procedures as well as informed consent procedures. So we're just going to run through this very quickly since you've already done your city training, and we're looking again just to refresh and make sure that it's solidified in your thought processes, is really looking at specific topics. So we're looking at risks that are associated with research, those vulnerable populations, special situations or special populations, and the FDA regulations as well. So during the training, it's important for researchers to understand HIPAA, conflicts of interest, and what IRB committees do and IRB membership consists of. So when we're looking at conduct as far as research, we need to make sure that in research training, we need to be sure that there is an additional level of research ethics that are required. So that training has to include those that higher level of ethics, and it addresses things such as research misconduct, data management, and conflict of interest. So when we're looking at IRBs, there are federal guidelines that mandate the existence of IRBs and the makeup of IRB committees as well. And also look at that it's not all, the membership is not solely from a particular organization, that there is someone from the outside and also someone who's sensitive to those community attitudes to bring that broadened perspective to the IRB committee. So just kind of think about that, how important it is not only to have those who are experts, but those who kind of think about things in different ways to provide a different perspective and who could relate to the population in question as far as the research. So the application process really has some very basic standard information that needs to be submitted, and that provides the investigator an opportunity to share information about the study itself, as well as their qualifications to complete the study. So we're looking for anything that would be considered conflict of interest, the use of investigational drugs, the harm. We're looking for environmental concerns, as well as where the research will occur. So we're also looking at safety, looking at privacy, confidentiality, and being anonymous. So those are all different. As far as the terms, sometimes we use those interchangeably, and the importance of consent and truly understanding and comprehending consent is a critical portion, and that's where we get into some challenges sometimes with vulnerable populations, or those populations maybe of pediatric populations, those types of things. So as far as basic elements, just a real aerial view: the purpose of the research, the possible risks or discomforts, the possible benefits, and the alternatives as far as procedures and treatments. And we're looking for procedures to maintain confidentiality, compensation for any type of injury that may occur, and contact information for the members of the research team. So how can folks get back to whoever's doing the research? The participants have to have a means to contact them. So we're also looking at that the participation is voluntary, and refusal to participate doesn't result in any consequences, those types of things. Again, all those factors are very important, and you will find as you move forward in doing IRB applications that all these components are included. Sometimes consent can be waived, and sometimes IRBs are not required for things like quality improvement projects, or research on normal educational practices, looking at what is openly public as far as observation of public behavior, and looking at de-identified secondary data. So that may be like doing retrospective chart reviews so that are not identified. That is a possibility. And also pulling data from resources such as the CDC, where all the information is in the aggregate. There's no way to connect who responded in a certain way, that it's just data that you are examining. So one thing to consider is also that ongoing consent as well, and ensure that the consent process is complete, and reminding the participants of the research context at every encounter. So continually reminding them and allowing opportunities, honestly, to exit the research process. So some particular issues to really key into are those vulnerable populations, and really looking at those specific populations that may be taken advantage of, possibly by researchers who do not apply the appropriate ethics. So these are all things to consider, and as you're reviewing the research articles that you will be reviewing, you want to consider all of these factors as well when you're looking at the articles, to make sure that what you're including in your literature review or your research is of the highest ethical standard as far as research. So let me know if you have any questions about this material.